Cool. So I think we are live. Let me just double check on our profile. Yes, I'll give you time to retweet Tony. And in the meantime, thanks very much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here.
How are you doing today?
I'm very well. Just trying to retweet this. Second, because I don't see you right now.
That's okay. I'll give you time then.
Yeah, just a second. I just did it. Okay, should be all right. Okay, here we are. Yep. Yeah, I'm very well, and everything is going well. The new piece has been minted a few days ago, and everything is going okay.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you very much for taking the time. I think, if you want to say like a couple of, intro words about you, like obviously, you're an award-winning photographer, but if you just want to take, some time to kind of describe your career so far and also how you got into crypto art.
Yeah, sure. I'll try to make it quick because it's about 25 years or something. So I got into art since a long time ago, but when I left Italy after the secondary school, I went to London and I got into some artings, and then Westminster University, and finally Kingston University for the BA in graphic design and fine art, also with some photography involved. So I was lucky enough to get a very good training and very good teachers as well, especially in London. And after that, I worked in London for a while as a art director and graphic designer. Then I moved back to Italy, opened my own agency, design agency, worked on that for 7-8 years. And then, the 2007-8 crisis came. So I stopped that, started working as a freelancer, and worked very well as a freelancer, actually. So much so that when the big crisis came, I had an opportunity coming to me. It means that the company I was working for owed me some good money, and we got an agreement. And I said, okay, this is the time to stop everything and get into what is really is a kind of cliche, but it's not really my dream, what I always wanted to do and never had the time to do. Never had. So I took the chance and went out to do photography, and I took a year off doing just never published anything, never showed anything. I just did, this is not a joke, is good training as well for any photographer with ambitions to become one. I was taking about 1,000 pictures a day to be able to improve my understanding of media, and also to be able to raise my level. When you are in you study and you grow up in London, in those places, in those universities, they train you to always try to get better. So that was what I was trying to do. And after a year, I started to do real photography, in a sense that I took a chance to go to Palestine and Palestine and the occupied territories and stuff like that with some architects. And my documentary photography started at that moment, more or less. And then I moved into much more difficult situations, like in Nairobi, in the slums, in the refugee camps near Sudan and other places. And after a year, I started winning awards internationally, one next to the other. So it was very, very satisfying. And it all came together, but it was because I had a big background, a large background as a graphic designer, which many photographers don't understand how important it is. Because for me, composition and putting things in the right place is just an automatic process. I don't have to think about it, and it becomes very easy to my eye. So that was how I moved into art, and I went on. I started doing exhibitions. You can check on my website. Everything is described there. Won some very important awards, and also got some pieces in the Museum of Modern Art in Switzerland and other places. So all came together, and after that, I kind of, because you have to know that, probably you already know it, but traditional art is not like NFTs. NFTs, you can break into it and maybe have success. Traditional art is very complicated, is very old style, and sometimes you get stuck into it. It's difficult to move. So I survived for a while, keeping doing the same things, survived, but in a good way. And then maybe a little bit too late, I got into NFTs. I knew it since beginning of 2018, mid 18. But I didn't understand it. I didn't get the point of some things. About the NFTs, and I didn't have the time to study the technology at the time. And then last October, September, October, I had the time. I started, and I have to be very thankful to Async, because I went to one of their live streaming they were doing at the time, explaining what the platform was about. And it just blew up my mind. I said, okay, what I've done for 20 years, I can put it all together like I wanted to, and make a single piece with all the photography from the same place, which was something I already thought about 10 years ago, but it didn't make any sense 10 years ago, because there was no way to sell something like that. And it started like that.
And did you? It's interesting because obviously Async is a very unique platform in itself. So a lot of artists or people in the space sometimes don't actually get what the platform actually does. So did you start immediately with Async, or was your journey into through other platforms? And also, what did you think about programmable art when you realize the potential of it?
Okay, I applied like everyone, and anyone who wants to get in, I applied to all of them. And the first one to take me in was Known Origin, and immediately after Async. And I wanted to get into Async because of what I saw, what I understood. And so my first piece went out on Async, and not even the time to mint it. I got it nearly sold immediately. And later also the layers, just a few hours, and it was gone, and at a good price, not that so that was a good thing, because I spent a lot of time to make my piece. You have to understand that the pieces I make don't take a day or two or three. They take weeks or months, because they involve a number of photos from the same location, maybe between 15 and 40, and they all need to work together. They all need to work together, not only in the composition and in the piece, but also as a concept. And that was what it was done for the first piece, yes, but especially for the second one, which was again sold very quickly. The street life piece, photography from Japan. And now I got the new one, which is out now, and is a new. I'm still experimenting on the different styles that I work with, because I'm not just a documentary photographer, but I mix documentary and fine art, or better, my documentary photography is also fine art, because I don't sell to magazines. I never did. I sell only as prints and as art pieces. So, and here it is. Yes, exactly. So I developed a kind of, which I think is important for each artist, develop your own style, your own way of doing stuff, and your own kind of edition as well. So I normally work on 3 layers and on 3 stages. They might be left, center, and right, or they might be foreground, middle ground, and background, which relates to photography.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the piece itself, and also something that kind of interested me particularly is the WabiSabi concept? Do you want to explain what that is?
The WabiSabi is something that is a way of life in Japan. Is an aesthetic principle. Is something that is you need to stay there to learn about it. I was lucky enough to live in Japan for a few months in different years, and spend time with the people there. So WabiSabi is the acceptance of transience, of all those things that are imperfect, that are not complete or impermanent, that are broken. They can be put together in a way that they look even better or more beautiful than before. And this is because of the scars. Like a vase, when it breaks, in Japan, they put it back together with, I don't know how you call it, but the kind of gold glue. And they put the pottery together, and you see the scars in gold. And this worth a lot more. So I applied this concept to my art since the original photo, but also now on Async is just perfect for this concept for me, because I can work with 40, 50 photos and put them together in a way that they look even better than the original one. But not manipulating the photo. This is very important. I'm not a 3D artist. I'm not a rendering artist. I always look at reality and what is out there, and I freeze the moment, and then I can put them together. But also, to put them together, you need to have a frame of mind at the beginning, which is linked to what you want to do after, because you need to have, for example, here, a foreground, a middle ground, a background, and you need all of them to be in a kind of in focus. So you need to work with a depth of field and lots of things, which are much more difficult than working just in other ways in photography. So you need to, when a piece like this comes out, it's not just the work done on the piece. It's also the weeks and sometimes months spent on location doing the pictures.
And were you thinking about how it would basically be kind of collected, and also how it would look on Async whilst you were doing this process?
No, not at that time, because the pictures, I have to explain. I've been thinking about putting pictures together for about 10 years. But as I said before, I couldn't do it. I could do it, but it didn't make any sense in a way of selling it as art. So the way I work if you look at my portfolio as a photographer, not NFT artist, you will see that nearly all my photography has a perspective and the depth of field very deep, and everything is always in focus from the beginning to the end, which is very difficult to do at the same time, especially in documentary photography or street photography. That means that I can work with the same style. I always work with the same kind of lenses, and that allows me to put pieces together like I've been doing now with these, even if the pictures were taken 2 years ago when I didn't know about async. Okay, but when I'm going out now, what I did with async is changing, which is great for an artist, by the way, because you grow up, is changing my way of looking and thinking about the picture while I'm taking it, because I'm thinking about if I will use that background on something else in a way that it interacts. And yeah, it's a lovely process, and I think async is just at the beginning of what they can do. Because it's amazing. It's amazing.
And you mentioned before that you were doing these before you were an NFT artist, kind of. So what is, in your take, the difference between being, a photographer and an NFT artist? Has your process changed? Has your mentality changed? Like, what are the differences?
That's a good question, because first, it's not being asked before, and second, because it makes a lot of sense. As a photographer, a fine art photographer, you think about a single shot, or maybe a series, or maybe a story, a photo story, which can be done in a single shot or in a series of shots. That is another discussion. But when you get into NFTs, and I had that question, not the same as yours, but asked by email, but another photographer 2 days ago. He sent me an email asking me. No, I had no problem to answer him about it. So he said, if you need to do animated things, if you need to do something more to get into it. And I told him, for sure, you need to get, and you need to improve yourself, you need to move up, you need to get to a new level in your art. Your photography is great, mine is great, whoever is great, but to sell a single shot as a single shot, as an NFT, I don't know if it makes a lot of sense, because you can still sell it as a fine art print. But as an NFT, you can make that shot plus something else in a single piece and create a piece of art which can be animated, or can be programmable, or can be a lot more things. I'm sure for sometimes in the future, someone will come up with a platform only for photography and still photography. But I'm not sure if I will have any success with it, because I know some photographers that tried, and the collectors and the audience for the NFT is kind of, is not the right word, but a higher level or different level. They want something more. Okay.
That's interesting. It's a very interesting concept. I'd like to expand on this. So, and actually, I was thinking about asking exactly this question. Like, in your mind, what is the difference between a collector of, for example, your photos, your fine art photos, and one of your collectors now?
Yeah, the difference is that I believe the collectors that are collecting NFT now, my NFTs now, will maybe in the future ask me for the prints. The opposite has already happened. I had a collector who has been collecting my prints for a few years now, and you know, it is a little bit like not into technology that much. So he saw what I was doing and he asked me, and I explained, and he said, okay, I understand what you're doing, so I want to buy one of your pieces. I said, okay. So I helped him out to put up all the MetaMask or whatever you want you need to do it. And he opened his account, and he did buy my first piece on Maker's Place, which was kind of amazing because I have a traditional collector who moved into NFTs. Like, wow, I love that. And I was quite shocked, actually. I never expected that. I thought I had to maybe get a kind of a fight between the two. Someone telling me, "What are you doing? Don't do that. We want you to still be." And it never happened. Actually, it's mixing pretty well. And another thing to answer your question is that on Async, I was the first one to do something on my last, not this piece, the one before, the Soul of Japan, the black and white street photography piece. What I did was Async doesn't have the function to sell in a bundle yet. Maybe they will implement it. But I still don't think, but I didn't think that a collector that buys my art, maybe someone else's art is okay, but my art, he can buy a master and then have the layers sold to someone else. So what I actually did for that piece, and if you go to the description, because there you are in the test page, in the description, it says that, very important at the beginning, the piece will be sold as a bundle. Whoever buys the master, I will gift all the layers. So the owner of a master will be able to change it to his liking. And I also decided at that time that he or she, whoever was the collector, would be able, once he got the master and the layers together for free, contact me and let me know which of the 216 compositions he likes more. And I will send him a one-on-one fine art print, museum quality, which by itself is worth over $2,000. So it was something that was done for the first time in there, and I will do it again. I haven't been able to do it on this piece because I had a promise to keep, and one layer was to be gifted to one of the collectors for the Christmas gift since December last year. So I had to keep them separated this time. But next one and the following ones, I think I will always do it as a bundle. The owner will be able to wake up and change the piece, or go to sleep, or have friends and change it in front of himself, herself, and not having it changed by someone else. I want, that is what I like. So if I can do it, I do it.
Amazing. And in terms of, I know that you have just released a new piece on Maker's Place, right? Yeah. Correct. And
tomorrow I release the fourth mask on Maker's Place. Yeah.
Okay. And do you want to go over the mask and what is the meaning behind those pieces?
The Venice masks. Yes. it came up as an idea one day about 3-4 weeks ago. So when I had some spare time between the lake piece and other things, I worked on these images, which are done with a different technique, which is called cinemagraph. So if the image is done in a certain way, which means that the image has a clear foreground, a clear middle ground, and a clear background, those are not elements put together in Photoshop. They are from the same photo. If people want to see it, I can put it up on the website. It's no problem. I thought, I took these pictures last year, just before the pandemic started, and then for different reasons I couldn't finish the project. And I might be able to finish it maybe next year, but people don't know that or don't realize maybe that the carnival in Venice has been going on for like 800 years or more. And probably this was the first time it didn't happen. And so I decided to make this set of masks, which are 5 and became 6 because of a little issue we had with bid on Maker's Place. So I made a mask especially for a collector and gifted it to him. And the masks are a simple reflection of what the carnival is, what Venice is just nothing conceptual, just aesthetic, and a kind of composition with animation and this technique. So for example, here you can see that the water moves and other things happen, but you need to have a clear subject and a clear background and middle ground to do something like this. So all goes back to the main, the beginning, the first, how you take the photo. If you don't take it in the right way, you cannot do this. It's impossible. So, yeah, and I had fun with those because it's less work than the others and more fun to do them. I can also, each one is a separate thing. So each one works by itself. I don't need to put hours and days just to think how to make things work together in one single 20 photos bundle, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it was
amazing. And I know you have a couple of things coming up, especially a collaboration, right? Yeah. So you have
Yeah. I have a collaboration as well, which I love to do because I really like the artist and the person, which is George Boyer, and is a nice thing because what I do is obviously reality because it's photography. What you see is what is out there, and what he does is surreal because he's an illustrator and a collage artist. So I spoke with him and I asked him if he wanted to have this collaboration on a particular project, which is my moving from the WabiSabi into documentary. And the project is about the strength of ethnic women in Vietnam. And also I'm moving into the award-winning pieces now. That has won a couple of awards, honorable mentions, at the Grand Prix of Paris and some other things. And what the project is already a story that I built up a few years ago, and this part of another project, but it has a story behind. So what I'm doing with George is that he puts the kind of future kind of thing into it. So we thought that maybe the traditional images, this is a piece that will go out on async with all the layers. So it will be something like 512 possibilities, maybe even more. And people can mix the reality of a photography, like you have maybe a subject, a woman with ethnic woman, and it did all the technological bits on her instead of her maybe dress or maybe something. So to show that maybe in the future, technology could also help with these women to even become even stronger than what they already are. And I'm very curious about this piece because we always had an agreement that I do my part, he does his, and we keep our own styles. So it will be a fun thing, and I think unique because of what we do, which is quite different.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. And yeah, so I think, you know, obviously, like it's great to see your experience and, you know, your kind of like a traditional background coming into NFTs. Is there, you know, anything that you think is specifically different from the traditional kind of art bar photography world in this that you found, you know, surprising positively or negatively as well?
But I found surprising. I think a little bit, no, I don't want to say on the negative side, but a little bit maybe is the fact that I see so much 3D and rendering and things which it's difficult to explain without offending someone, which I'm not aiming to do at all. But because I see some amazing things, just to say what, for example, Murat Pak does is just crazy. But I see lots of other stuff which is sometimes very simple rendering. And I don't see, you see, I don't try to sell for the money, I try to sell for value. Okay, and it's different. The value of an artwork in a sense of what is the work involved into it. If you find, I saw many things because of what I do. I've been in technology and computer stuff for a long time, so I can see that many things that I see in 3D are models then extrapolated, but already taken from something else and taken to another stage, which is cool, is fine, everything, but is more to me a collectible and not a piece of art. I hope I'm not offending anyone. But I'm more traditional, maybe more into the old stuff. And on the positive way is exactly the opposite, that everyone is having a chance to get in and having a chance to show what they can do. But what I hope people will do is not just have the first 10 minutes play around, but spend days, weeks learning. Also, Cinema 4D, Blender, whatever you want is no problem, but do something original, do something that is yours, create your own style. That is what I meant even before, you know. That are the two things. What I'm doing is a bit different, obviously, because it's linked to a camera and photography, but people could say the same before between traditional photography and digital photography. So yeah, the same problems comes back all the time, but yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Tony, for your time.
Thank you.
It was great to speak to you. And yeah, thanks to everybody for listening, and also thanks to our sponsor, which this month is Will Street.
Okay, and very
Thanks
nice to
a
meet
lot.
you. To talk to you again.
Bye, Tony. Thank you.